Welcome, everybody, back to the Road Less Traveled podcast. Cheers.
Cheers. Episode 13. Welcome back, everybody.
Oh, give me life coffee.
Today we have a very exciting episode for y'all.
Now we're an American citizen and also a Southerner through and through.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that. We got an update on my citizenship status in a minute. But today's episode, a lot of you guys have asked for this. It's going to be on budget savvy traveling and 5 destinations in Europe right now that are actually pretty cheap.
Tell me more.
Coming into the summer there. It's kind of in fringe season, but we're going to expand on that.
Also known as shoulder season.
Shoulder season, my bad.
Fringe, I like it. I think you just made that up on the fly.
Yeah, it is on the fringe, right?
Yeah, it works. It works.
But before we dive into those 5 destinations and some budget savvy traveling tips for you guys, let's dive into the last week that has been just quickly in our lives.
The last week that has been, I feel like it has a theme all about new beginnings.
It really has. You have some exciting news, a little teaser for everybody.
Well,
Les.
I feel like it all happened with the solar eclipse. And that really affected me and my life. And it was known to affect Capricorns a lot, which is what you are, your sun sign. But I was thinking about it, and so many things have happened since then, and they all have to do with new beginnings. And it's just wild how the sky works, y'all. I swear, if you don't believe in it, allow me to turn you.
I mean, there are we can't reveal too much, but there are 2 exciting things happening at the Road Less Traveled, LimitLes Travel. Les, do you want to expand on it a little bit?
Well, for starters, we are launching a brand new LimitLes trip next Monday.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Domestic
which is
or international? Can we give that away?
International.
International. All right. You guys heard it here first on the show.
Yeah. Earth Day is Monday. We're announcing on Earth Day. I feel like it's very appropriate.
Can we give some other tips? Have you been to this place before?
You mean give some other clues?
Yes. That's what I meant.
Yes, I have been here a few times. It's a favorite.
Okay.
And it goes swimmingly with Earth Day. I'll just leave it at that.
I may have been to this place too, so I'm very excited. I also have a lot of work to do for this launch, so that will be me for the rest of the week, getting all the media assets ready to get everybody a bit excited. You don't need a lot of excitement on this place, but I think this one's going to be very popular.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to share. So that's Monday, the 22nd, Earth Day, and I hired my third. I mean, she's my third employee. I mean, you're one of them, but you're technically an independent contractor.
I am.
Yeah.
I am, but mine is yours too, so.
But she is incredible, and we went from part-time to full-time. So I guess she's technically my second full-time employee.
In what time frame did she go from part-time to full-time?
8 days.
And there's a reason behind this, though. Do you want to give people a clue there?
She is, and I will announce who she is at a later date, I believe, in a proper fashion, because she deserves that much. But she's going to be spearheading a new arm of the business that I'm excited to also announce at a later date.
Yeah, it's too soon, but it's very, very exciting. Having been with you since 2018 and seeing the birth of LimitLes Travel and just this growth, it's beautiful. Everyone out there, the LimitLes community that have supported you, I'm getting a little emotional. And just seeing this beautiful growth, you're now employing more people, and it's just great. Small business owners, it's very hard doing what we do, a lot of grinding calls and hours you put into in international calls, working with travel partners, trying to find dates for these trips. There is so much work that goes into the business. It's just, I feel like the hard work is paying off.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. I do too. It really, I was just having this conversation before we started this episode with Emily, my work wife, and we were just reflecting on how far we've come and the beauty and the evolution.
Yeah.
And it really is so beautiful. I mean, I never dreamed it would become This, when I was logging, hour after hour on that Argentinian couch in that small apartment, wondering what the hell I'm doing,
Yeah.
Quitting a job in Argentina that I worked so hard to get a year later, and trying to, work Squarespace at the time and build this website and YouTube everything and pull all-nighters for the first time since college. And it's become something more than I could have ever dreamed.
Yeah. It's beautiful, but I have to emphasize again the hard work. Like, you grilled me earlier today for something. You're like, no, I need this like right now. I'm like, okay, sorry. And I got it within 20 minutes. And this is a business. We are a small business. And as beautiful as it is, it's also a little scary, the new venture too, but also exhilarating of like the possibilities and them being
limitless.
It is. It's very exciting. So I'm excited for
me too.
Our new hire, who's a great friend of ours, and
she's just an incredible human being, but also fabulous at what she's done for the past week,
and just
as a part-time and now full-time employee. And I think it's something I've been dreaming up for a whole decade. I looked back at my inbox on these conversations I tried to have 10 years ago, and it just wasn't the time. But now it is the time, and I'm so excited.
I think too, there's the feedback, and there's been a lot of DMs and a lot of people talking to you and getting in your ear and planting this seed, and it's just been a constant thing. And it's happening, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Me too.
I will end that little teaser there on those.
New beginnings.
New beginnings.
You're an American citizen.
Finally, we did an episode, I think it was episode 3 or 4 on the citizenship ceremony that was supposed to happen, and the party that you threw. I was supposed to become naturalized in January 17th before the party.
Yep.
And snow and ice hit Memphis and Little Rock, and the nearest U.S. Customs and Immigration building is in Memphis, 2 hours drive. So finally, and then we went away for 2 months to Australia and New Zealand. So my ceremony date in that I couldn't go to. So finally we got there last week. I got naturalized with 27 other people from around the world who were from, you pointed it out as well, 23 different countries. And seeing the diversity and the beauty of all these different people that, you think about America, the United States of America, you think about Australia, the countries were built on immigration. There was the native people first, obviously, of course, here and in Australia, but immigrants make up the country. And I think the diversity is why I love like Italian food and Greek food, and I have some of that heritage. And to be a US citizen now and a dual citizen, I'm so proud. I'm really happy to finally be here. And I had a pinch me moment just yesterday going down to the post office to get my passport. That's when it became real for me. And I got really emotional because the first time I came here was 2012. And I was here legally in 2014. 10 years later, after 2014 being here legally, I have my passport in what's coming. So, it's very exciting.
I can't imagine what that must feel like to kind of be straddling the line between two nationalities.
It's a strange feeling because, it's easy for Americans to move to Australia. It's easy for Australians to move to the US because we speak the same language. We just have a different accent, but you miss your family, you miss your hometown, but having a family here, I'm so happy. I have 2 beautiful daughters who are American. Nora's a dual citizen. We've got to work on the least dual citizenship, but there really are great benefits to having dual citizenship, which, I won't forego being an Australian. I'm a very proud Australian. It's just, I'm proud to be here. I really am. And it's been a journey. It's been a process. I've done it the right way. It's been very expensive. I remember just first coming here in the US, I'm like, damn, I need to get a driver's license. And to get a driver's license, you needed an IRS, social security number. So that was just a hurdle just to get the social security number, which then opened up the door to driver's license, bank account.
I wasn't even with you through all that hard work and legwork. That's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
No.
So kudos to anybody that does it, makes it work in any other country where you become a citizen and you spend, a portion of your life there. Kudos to you.
Yeah, kudos to y'all. You and you too. And I think you put in so much work for that test that most Americans would fail.
Yeah.
At this point. Yeah. So I
got
think
100%.
This country is a lot better with you in it.
Thank you.
And I look forward to your vote in November.
Thank you. Yeah. Just to sort of wrap up the citizenship being up there in Memphis, I want to give a shout out to the Central Station Hotel for having us. Really funky hotel that used to be a train station. The Amtrak station still goes past. And we had breakfast after my ceremony at the restaurant across the street, the Arcade Restaurant, which is the oldest restaurant in Memphis. You were born in Memphis.
Sure was. I don't think I've really been back since then.
I thought it was really funky, like being in this old diner, knowing Elvis had been there.
You even looked up his table and you were like, the table is free. Should we move? Should we move tables?
I'm like, the king, that's where the king was from. Like, and yeah, anyway.
The menu was one of those menus where it was like, you had your eggs, you could get pancakes, you could get a breakfast sandwich, and everything came with bacon, grits, biscuits
pancakes,
and gravy,
everything.
Like I was like, it didn't matter what you got, like because it came with every single other side.
We did not get the milkshake, which I regret. I should have got the milkshake.
Big regrets. But what was really awesome was there was this family next to us, a couple and their, I think, son. Mm-hmm. And I guess they were overhearing us talk about your citizenship journey as we were eating. And they got up to leave and they were like, oh, we heard, you just became a citizen, shook our hands, said congrats, and said they paid for our meal. And it just took me back. Like, what a way to welcome somebody to their country.
I didn't even think, Australians, we can project a bit, guilty of being quite a loud talker, but I didn't think we were being super loud, but they must have overheard when we were telling the waiter. And it was such a pleasant surprise. Again, there are so many good people out there. So thank you to that family who bought this new American citizen and my wife breakfast.
You shook their hand and you go, thank you so much. I'm so proud to be an American. And they go, so are we. And they walked off.
It was really sweet. So just a reminder to everybody, next time I see a nice young couple or a family of some sort, I'm going to pass it forward and, pay it forward.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay it forward as they did to us. I think it's really nice. A beautiful gesture.
It's the last week of our lives.
That's the last week. Yeah. I want to briefly touch on this. We're not a bachelorette show, but you are part of Bachelor Nation, Lesley.
Guilty. Yes, I am.
And we have
forever and always
some awful news of Jerry and Teresa getting divorced after 3 months from the Golden Bachelor.
Look, are we surprised? You seem gutted.
You loved him. I mean, we all fell in love with Jerry.
Yeah, they put him up as like this perfect specimen of a human being.
He's like this altar boy that could do no wrong.
Right. And then it all came crumbling down. You can't hide, the bad for too long.
Yeah.
I mean, it all kind of came out like right before the finale aired.
Yeah.
The news broke.
But that was very quick. 3 months, you're thinking they're older. You see the love. You think they could go a little longer than 3 months.
I don't know. There's something there that we don't know.
Well, there was that stuff that came out with an ex. Apparently had an ex in 2019. And we're not going to get into the gossip, but some bad stuff came out that didn't make him look as the altar boy that the show and the producers had made him out to be.
Correct. But at the end of the day, these producers are making headlines. They're making a TV show and that's their number one goal. And so they found this guy and turned him into something maybe he wasn't for ratings. And look, it worked.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think for that, the ratings that they got, they kind of want to make this a whole new thing maybe now because it did so well. But him being the first, you'd probably want that to be a little more successful.
It's just like any other
of those ratings,
sure, for sure. But it's like any other season. Like, oh, we're so invested in this lead and who he or she chooses, and then when all, when when everything falls. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I think he made a mistake. He should have gone with the Lesley. Remember? Remember he had that really nice date with her, and then
everybody should go with the Lesley.
Yeah.
And then maybe that was his mishap, and where he went wrong. But I don't know. I think it was fast. Like all of a sudden it wrapped, and then they were like, "Okay, we're doing a live wedding in January."
Yeah, I think they've done a little bit of press, but they haven't touched on it. It's been kind of very amicable. But it's like, I'm not Bachelor Nation, but it's like, if you're gonna put yourself out there and on TV, people want to know the details. What? Just
it'll come out. It'll
come out with it.
It'll come out.
But like, be in control of it. Just like they could come out and say, "Look, this is what happened." It's like you did it all on the show. It's like people have a vested interest. They want to know like what
air out that dirty laundry.
I mean, you've been on the show. Like you get off, and like people want to know, like you're still with Dean and all this stuff.
Absolutely not.
And it's like, you don't really have a right to privacy anymore because you have put it all out there.
And I'm pretty sure I did put it all out there and continued on to speak my piece.
Yeah. Well, and you're an exception.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. Anyway, we'll stop there. But I do feel like there's something we don't know. It will eventually come out. Mm-hmm. And when, the past few months when I've seen videos or photos of them, there's something not right. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something not right.
I'm going to say this. I think as you get old and older, like being that age that they're at, you're set in your ways.
Yes.
You're set in your fucking ways. Like, is this guy moving out of Indianapolis? Is she moving to Indianapolis? Is he moving to where she is? Like, financial decisions. Like, I
feel like that was a big one because even in his last relationships, after his wife had passed, it all came out that he was always about splitting the check.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a bigger storyline there.
Maybe his finances aren't as great as, if you're asking to split, but you're supposed to have money. I don't know. You don't really do that kind of thing.
I don't know.
It's weird.
It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame.
Anyway, we'll see what happens with the Golden Bachelorette. Is that happening?
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
We know some people on it.
Yeah.
Sure do.
Yeah, that's right. We can't go into that. Anyway, this isn't a Bachelor show, but Lesley was on it, and I really enjoyed The Golden Bachelor. I thought it was really well produced. He was very likable. All the women were exceptional women. I thought it made for great TV.
It sure did.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
All about that. The ratings.
All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. 5 destinations in Europe on a budget.
Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. All right, I'm ready.
You've been waiting a while to do that, haven't you?
Thank you. Thank you for my moment.
All right, I've done some research here, and the 5 cities are London, England, Rome, Italy, Barcelona, Spain, Lisbon or Porto, Portugal, and Dubrovnik, Croatia. There are some amazing prices right now for next month's travel, so that's May. These prices are going to stay pretty current if you're tuning into the episode now, but some of the tools that I've used to find some of these great rates, Google Flights, because what I love about it is you search, press in where you're flying from, and then you can pick flexible dates, which is what I'd recommend if you want to get the cheapest flights and your dates are flexible.
You got to love that tool.
It is so good because everything comes up on the 31-day calendar or the 30-day month, and you can see, oh, wow, it's $1,400 round trip on this day, and then it's $700 here. Boom, I'm going to go on the $700 day, and then you can pump that money into accommodation or meals or whatever.
Boom.
So some of the flights I found, and Les, you might want to jump on a plane to London, and these dates are May 3 to May 10th using those tools. There are round trip flights from Little Rock for $709 to London.
All my Little Rockins.
$709. That is round trip from Little Rock because we always have to get a connecting. So that's flying to, wherever the connecting is, JFK.
And usually it makes it more expensive.
Usually does. Yep. But like $709 round trip to London, that's pretty damn good.
I mean, you don't have a passport right now, but you've been dying to go to London.
I have. I haven't been to the old country, So that is definitely on my list. But if you're not flying, obviously from Little Rock, and you're flying out of a major airport like Chicago, there's flights from $629 nonstop. If you're flying from New York, there's flights from $324 direct, nonstop.
Yeah, it pays to live in New York.
324
really
bucks.
Does. I mean, and this is less than a month out.
That's so cheap. Nonstop from Miami, $463 nonstop. Those are some really pretty good prices. If you're flying from LA, $492.
That's amazing. I was about to say you're hitting all the East Coast hubs.
I got you. $492 from the West Coast.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Mate, and that's next month. So, I think if you're flexible with your travel and some work frees up and you can be like, fuck it, let's get on a plane next month. I would go to London in a heartbeat for $710 round trip.
Twist my arm. You don't have a passport. So.
I know. But anyway, so those are some really great cheap flights. Also, you're probably wondering, what about accommodation? Alex, Lesley, what do we do? Don't stay at hotels if you're trying to save some money, unless, it's a budget hotel. This is a budget travel episode. We're not staying at the Ritz or the Four Seasons. We're not going to stay on budget there. I found some accommodation in Greenwich. I assume it's nice, Greenwich Village. I've heard about it. But I found some Verbos and Airbnbs there. 7 nights in Greenwich, an apartment to yourself, $1,087.
Not bad.
Not bad. And if you go with someone else, a +1, it only goes to $1,188 for 2 guests. So if you split that from, for us, I've got the breakdown here from Little Rock. If we went, the 2 of us, for accommodation for the week and flights, $1,303 each person for a whole week. So that's flights and accommodation for a whole 7 days. That's pretty cheap.
Obviously, the Vrbo and the Airbnbs of the world are completely up to your discretion and what kind of traveler you are. Like you can go as expensive or as inexpensive as you want and stay in a shared room, for example.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, when you get to a destination, how much time are you really spending where you're sleeping?
That has always been a hard thing for me, especially when you either partner with a high-end hotel or pay to stay in a high-end hotel. You almost just want to spend your time there.
Yeah.
But that's not why you're traveling.
No.
And so it becomes this hard balance of, relishing in your lodging option that you paid for, or are you trying to step out and see the actual destination?
Yeah. That's right. Well, those are some pretty good numbers for London. Number 2 that came up on my radar, which is kind of crazy for this time of year, is Rome. Again, travel dates May 3 to May 10th.
That's exactly when we went last year.
I know. Round trip from Little Rock, and I'm using Little Rock as an example because we live here, and we always have that extra flight, like I just said. Round trip from Little Rock, 1 stop, 11 hours and 59 minutes, $936 round trip for one person. Now, if you're looking for something a little cheaper and you live in Chicago, you can get direct nonstop for $645.
Shout out United.
Nonstop flights from Newark, $733. Nonstop flights from Atlanta, $1,023.
Ooh.
Atlanta's a little more expensive, I noticed.
Atlanta. What's with you?
I think it's a really popular and busy city. And
Atlanta Airport is the busiest airport in the world.
I noticed in all of my searches, all the flights in Atlanta.
Is that a Delta thing?
I think it is, but all the flights there seem to be more expensive.
Delta Hub.
From what I noticed. But those are some great prices for this time of year.
And so close to the outbound flight.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I also saw a round trip from Miami with 1 stop in London, $751. And if you're on the West Coast, LA, you can fly with Turkish Airways, 1 stop in Istanbul for $751.
Oh, I loved our time with Turkish Airways.
Yeah, it was a really great airline.
It really was.
For $751 with 1 stop. What I learned in this deep dive, looking to book cheap flights, was it was always cheaper with a layover,
For sure.
And that's the trade-off sometimes, unless you're going out of a major city and it has nonstop, you have to get that layover and you have a bit of extra time And that's the trade-off for the cheaper flight. And I think people that are on a budget don't mind doing that.
Speaking of layovers in Turkish Airlines, we had our long layover in Istanbul with Turkish Airlines, and that's why we were able to get out and see it for 8 hours.
That was like the wildest layover. I ended up putting an Instagram post up on my drone gear account, going, any drone pilots in Turkey? And this guy hits me up, and he works for Turkish Airways, engineer. It's his day off. He picks us up from the airport. Leslie's like, do you know this guy? And I'm like, I Instagram know him. Like, he puts out really good work. And he took us to his local cafe where we went on the rooftop right next to the Blue Mosque. And I flew my drone and got some spectacular shots and just got to hang out with this local. And he was so kind. He took us to the mosque and he took us to the is it the bazaar? The Grand Bazaar
And we're
markets.
so jet lagged.
And we're on
Bought some rugs.
And I had to get our visas when we were in South Africa, but that was just a really exciting layover. I actually felt like we were on the Amazing Race because it was very quick.
Put that out into the universe. I would love to go on the Amazing Race.
I think we'd do well. So anyway, that's that was Rome, Italy. Really some great prices there. Again, Chicago being the cheapest at $645.
A note on Italy. We went to Rome this time last year and then traveled on to LimitLes Italy and met all the participants, and it was wild. Astronomical crowds in numbers.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like especially last year, even more so, we were still in that post-pandemic travel boom, and shoulder season was more like high season. And there were crowds that were out of this world. Yeah,
it was pretty wild. We had a couple of rough days with weather in Rome. There was a bit of rain there. But I loved Rome. I loved the big city. Obviously didn't mind the crowds, to be expected. But yeah, it was busy for May. Even I hadn't been there, but you were
just a note.
And again, something to think about. But yeah, some great flights there next month if you want to go to Rome. Third destination, we've been here, Barcelona, Spain.
What a city.
Listen to this number. This is from Little Rock again. These numbers blow me away. And this is with United Airlines. Round trip from Little Rock, one stop, $688 per person to Barcelona. That's 4 flights total.
Let's go. It truly, when I think of Barcelona, I think of just like this perfect city with like perfectly balanced with beach and architecture and culture and food and sexy everything.
We had a great time there. We actually got a pretty raunchy picture up there in the hotel. We pushed the bed to the glass.
You're really pulling back the curtain, huh?
Everyone's like, I can't see this room in the thing. It's like, no, we pushed the bed. We were those Instagrammers. We pushed the bed to the glass, and
like I said, really pulling back the curtain.
Yeah, but that was a great trip. I absolutely love Barcelona. Just walking in the streets there. We went out for that beautiful restaurant. And we had all the beautiful Spanish things. It was great.
The Spanish things.
Try and get an Australian to pronounce them. It's pretty hilarious.
Oh my God.
Is it paella?
Paella.
Paella. I got it right. There we go. Bingo.
Spanish things.
Anyway, so here are some numbers for you guys. If you're flying out of the West Coast, round trip from Los Angeles, $622. Or non-stop, $768. Those are some pretty good numbers from the West Coast.
Less than a month out, hell yeah.
Yeah, and non-stop from New York, $639. That's probably to be expected, but still $639. Like this late in the game to get to Barcelona next month.
Yeah, y'all, if summering in Europe is on your bucket list or just on your heart, like it's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
You just gotta go get an Aperol Spritz and Capri and just live your life.
Yeah.
Live your life.
Yeah. Some other numbers, $694 from Chicago, nonstop. Miami, $1,031. And here it is again, Atlanta to Barcelona, $1,650. That was the cheapest I could find next month.
Damn.
Like Atlanta's expensive. From my little research here. So New York and Chicago are kind of winning, and LA winning the cheap flight competition here.
And New York has so many airports to choose from.
Yeah.
You're spoiled for choice.
Yeah. All right. Destination 4, this is one of our favorite places, Lesley. Lisbon, Portugal.
I just love Portugal.
So here I had to move the dates around a little bit to find the cheaper prices. So I ended up being end of May into early June. Again, I used that Google Calendar to see where the cheapest flights were. And yeah, so that was end of May. And round trip from Little Rock was a little bit more expensive. It was $1,229 with 2 stops. So probably not the best. However, if you're flying out of Los Angeles, you can get there for $736. But again, that's with 2 stops. So cheap, but you've got more stops. Non-stop round trip from New York, $847. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good to Portugal. Newark to Porto. This is a new route from United.
That's right.
$735 I saw.
Worth it.
Round trip. I would be getting on that flight. We loved Porto.
I love the charm. I love the waterway that you flew your drone from. I love just all the port wines. Like, oh, take me back.
Yeah. Also put in renting a car because it's obviously Portugal's a really friendly place to drive.
But you can also easily take the train.
You can take the train as well. I really enjoyed driving from Lisbon to the Algarve there, the beaches.
It's just easy. It's not like the prettiest drive, but it's easy.
It was easy. But anyway, I found a rent-a-car compact SUV automatic, $130 for 4 days.
For 4 days.
4 days.
Love.
So, you can get to Portugal next month, end of the month, really cheap right now. That's destination 4. Now to round us out to 5 destinations, Dubrovnik, Croatia. I thought I'd put this in. It's a little bit further east of Europe, but we really loved Croatia when we went.
Oh my God. I think it's like kind of having a moment, like it's been found.
Mm-hmm. Game of Thrones really put it on there.
Oh, tell me about it. I mean, we did the Game of Thrones tour.
Yeah. But again, here are some numbers for you guys just to show you. From Little Rock, it's a little bit more expensive from Little Rock, and it is also going a lot further east. $1,158 is the cheapest flight. So I could find from Little Rock, 2 stops. Round trip from Chicago, pretty cheap, $827.
Okay.
Round trip from Chicago. Round trip from New York, $713. That's really cheap.
I loved that whole trip. We flew into
Dubrovnik?
Oh no, we didn't fly. We drove.
That's right.
From Slovenia
And Bosnia.
Hungary.
Yeah, and no, we drove in from Bosnia and Herzegovina. We got to keep this in. We got to keep that. Have a look at it, everybody. Try and say that.
Herzegovina.
Okay, I'm gonna let you say that. Herzegovina.
Still no.
But that drive was kind of wild. It was a really raw
We
country.
caught a bus. We rented a car. All the
Stayed
things.
at this random hotel that felt very Russian, it felt very Eastern European. Remember?
No.
Oh, it was at the very end of Croatia, and I think it was just in on the border.
Oh,
yeah, remember that?
That was kind of wild.
And
it took me a while to find an adequate accommodation.
And it had the all you can eat. I kind of felt like I was on a cruise ship, but on land.
That's the perfect description.
Thank you. Right? Remember being there and you're just collecting all your food, and it was sit at any table, and it was just.
Oh my God. It's a perfect description. And I feel like Croatia was just one of those F around and find out.
Yeah.
Because we had no reservations, and we just kind of went.
Yeah, we drove in. We kind of slid in the back door and just came out of these mountains or whatever, and we saw the beautiful national park on the way.
Oh, yeah.
Leaving Bosnia, the waterfalls, and then Croatia. There was just
all of it.
So
we did a road trip down, and we stopped at that abandoned pirate ship.
Yeah, and you found a really cheap Airbnb on the hills of Dubrovnik.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And there was really good value. I remember going out and eating, and then looking at the the bills. I'm like, oh wow, that meal was $25 for 2 of us with a drink, and it was really cheap.
How good was Hvar?
Hvar was amazing. So if you are going to go to Croatia, I'd recommend renting a car. Boom, piece down to Split, and then catch the ferry over to Hvar, which is an island. And they do yacht week out there. It is super, super beautiful.
Sandy Beach.
Yeah, I had that guy there who
Sandy
was
Beach.
down on the port. He's like trying to get people. There's Parmigiana, Sandy Beach. Here, no beaches. Very pebbly, rocky. Parmigiana, Sandy Beach. And they had a beach club there. I'm like, and I remember getting on the boat and he needed more people to get on before he'd leave. So I started hawking people and I'm like, Parmigiana, Sandy Beach, really good. Beach club, get on the boat so we can go. It's like, I think it was like $10 to go, round trip.
It was a great day.
And that was beautiful little island. So highly, highly recommend Croatia in general, not just Dubrovnik, but yeah, everywhere we just mentioned. Was it the Plivice, the waterfalls as well, national park that we went to.
May have butchered that. I'm not sure.
Anyway, I tried. But yeah, some great flights. $908 from Miami, $993 with one stop in from New York, 2 stops. It was $713. So, you can get cheap flights round trip to Dubrovnik and an amazing spot. And yeah, I looked up a rental car for 4 days, $155 for 4 days to rent a car. And accommodation I found in Dubrovnik, I just put in 8 nights, but you'll be able to find comparable accommodation in Split and Hvar, $681 for 8 nights. So again, like you do the math, $713 flights from New York, $681. You're around $1,500 there or less for round trip flights, accommodation, and then your car's $155. So that's a trip for 8 days to one of the most beautiful countries, well under $2,000, including your transport.
Do y'all want to travel to Europe this summer now or what?
I mean, this little research project here I've done, it just goes to show, like, if you're dialed into a month, just have a look what's available in the next month. You can find some really great deals.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of good deals, I feel like what's hot right now, destination dupes.
Please elaborate, Les.
Well, it's like anything else, like you see on the TikTok or the Instagram with fashion dupes, beauty dupes, makeup dupes. Same goes for travel dupes and destination dupes. So it's kind of like a look for less, if you will. So instead of maybe Switzerland, which is a fabulous country, I know and love, have you ever thought of Slovenia?
Slovenia, we loved.
It's that same alpine beauty you see all throughout Switzerland, just on a smaller, cheaper scale.
Castles everywhere.
Lake Bled. Oh my God. It is stunning.
I got some spectacular images there and we were out in the boat.
Roll the tapes for all the YouTubers out there.
I'm going to have to dive into the hard drives here, but yeah, Slovenia is a great, great country.
Yes. Maybe I would say Hungary for France.
Yeah.
It's kind of that same European experience with the architecture, maybe even the culinary experience. Unpopular opinion. France has never been my country.
Yeah.
I can appreciate a few things about it. French food isn't exactly one of them, but I do love the architecture, the vibe, the culture. And I feel like there are some similarities that you can find in Budapest or other places around Hungary. And especially if you're looking for wellness spas, look no further than Budapest.
I feel like we need to dedicate a whole episode to this because we could do a deep, deep dive into here too.
Yeah, I mean, this is just off the cuff. I don't know. I think if we did some research, heck yes.
I think we have to. I'm into this because I loved Slovenia. Again, France, I haven't traveled enough of it yet. But Europe's big and it's the place to be now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the summer, it's let's be honest, Americans flock there in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, it is pretty great. I'm not going to lie. It's certainly not exactly the road less traveled.
Yeah. And I think some of the road less traveled places like Slovenia and Budapest that we loved, flights can be hard to come by to get to those cities. So again, I recommend going through some of these routes, through some of these major hubs in Europe, and then you can catch a train. Remember when we were in Berlin and we caught the train to Budapest, and it was so easy. Boom, like we were there in like 3 hours or whatever it was. So yeah, definitely look at the train route. The European countries have got that figured out.
Oh yeah.
And
oh,
cheap way to, and the internal flights are pretty cheap too.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a deeper dive into these destination dupes because I really do feel like they're hot right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But
so hot.
I just wanted to, do some research, dive into Google and Expedia, and I used for all of this research to get these numbers that we've given you today. I used Google Flights, I used Expedia, and then I cross-checked with the airlines to make sure I got the best routes. And it's just, I wanted to show you guys that there are deals, there are budget-friendly flights out there in the next 30, 60 days if you're flexible to travel. And it's good to just kind of like go on a whim and just go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go to London. Like, I saw some of these, and as I was doing my research, I was like, oh my God, I really want to go to London right now.
Well, you've been saying that for years.
But we also have 2 kids now, and
we're not saying you can't travel with kids.
No, and I'd love to take them to London, but we have a lot of stuff we're working on, and we're enjoying being home right now.
Yes. On top of that, I wanted to give a little context of what Expedia says on timeline of when you should book for summer. And it's wild because it says book by April 17th. And today, release day for this podcast is April 17th.
Yes. And we're recording April 16th. So these prices that we've given today are very current. But again, just go in, do your research, use all the different, websites and tools to find these cheap flights. One last thing I want to ask you, Les, and I just want to kind of put out into the universe because I'm a very curious traveler, and you hear about these stories, and I'm sure our listeners have seen this or been on a plane before where they've been on a 30 or 40% half empty plane where there aren't a lot of people on it. What do you think the airlines could do better to alert travelers to flight deals in order to fill planes?
That's a good question. And I can't pretend to know like the behind the scenes of what goes on with that algorithm.
I think on that note, the airlines want us to think that the planes are full so that they can charge as much as possible. But wouldn't you rather have planes full and alert people maybe like a week out or 2 weeks out, them knowing they see the numbers, a plane's not getting booked and it's half full? Let's put out some alerts to like, And
this goes for like, some mostly like cool international destinations, not
domestic.
Yeah. Not like Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, you hear about it's like, oh, I did a long haul to like Auckland and the flight was like at 30%. I had 4 seats to myself and so did everybody else. It's like, wow, like I'm sure some travelers out there would have liked to have, snapped up some of those seats at a cheaper rate. Right.
I think it's a good question when you pose it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about what the airlines have to get the word out, and it's obviously, their newsletter and social media is a big one. Mm-hmm. I love, and not to like harp on United, obviously I know we love United, but I think they've done a really awesome job with their social, and they could easily do something like that where it would make sense. And it's like new age and modern and current and trendy. I think some other airlines have a lot of catching up to do there.
Yeah.
So I can easily see that from somebody like United on their social media channels, but I don't know, maybe that's something on the app too that could be experimented with.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if anyone's listening from the airlines out there, I don't know, give us some insight into some of that thinking if you can. I know some of the stuff's like top secret. They want to keep,
and sometimes flights are the opposite and they're oversold. And I've heard of horror stories of people getting bumped. So I don't know.
But you just hate to see planes not full going to really cool international destinations. I personally think airlines could do a better job of putting alerts out, putting it on their social media, going, hey, we've got some cheap flights going to here, Berlin or Amsterdam or whatever, rather than see empty planes. Maybe it's a cargo thing. Maybe they've got like heavy cargo and they don't sell those seats on purpose because they're carrying cargo. Maybe I need to be educated from the airlines on that front. So there's that side of it too.
Totally. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know the behind the scenes, but it's interesting to think about.
I know. I just wanted to put that out there. I'm a curious traveler, and I want to keep learning. And we all want the airlines to do better so that we can travel cheaper and
For less.
see more of the world.
Yeah. On the road less traveled.
Yeah.
On that note, thank y'all so much for joining us today. I hope you gathered some tips and are even possibly booking your summer destinations. We should have started this podcast with a disclaimer of, a warning sign of, may cause you to book a plane ticket.
I definitely want to book a trip somewhere, especially to London or Croatia. I love Croatia and London. I haven't been to.
Two vastly different destinations.
But yeah, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our channels everywhere. Thank you. We appreciate your support, guys.
See y'all.
See ya.